Hello, Dave from Tuppenny Bunters here. No, no. Yes, that one. Well, I'm here to tell you about a new album called The Tuppenny Hangover. It's a record, so it took 10 months to press because of, I don't know, Led Zeppelin or Adele or whatever. Written during lockdown, so it's got songs about elbow bumping and 21st century Ring a Ring of Roses. It's got 14 tunes on it, recorded at Gizzard, which is like Gold Star, but it's in East London, so it's got Hammonds, Farfisas, Wurlitzers, pianos and stuff all over it, all recorded on tape, so it sounds like this. This. It does this. There's this bit. Reverb. It's got a guitar solo. It's got a picture of Wilfred Pickles on it. Got fingers on it. B and Flow scan picture. All sorts. Robert Donat. Lighter fluid. Everything. It says blasted. Scott Baio makes an appearance. There's a wanking rope. Long words. Movie references. Anthony Newley impressions. Screeching. Dean Chalkley photos. John Bully artwork. Labels. Grooves. You know, it's a record. It's a record, isn't it?
Hello and welcome to Kitchen Sink. Today we are joined by two very special guests. We're joined by none other than Fee and Dave of Tuppenny Bunters. Fee, Dave, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Hello. Yes, it has been a while.
Yes, it's been a few months, hasn't it?
Something like that. When was it? October, maybe, of 2021?
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah, it was about then, wasn't it? Yeah.
That's right.
Sipping scotch in Edinburgh?
Up in Stirling, yes. What was that? It was a hotel, wasn't it? I forget the name of it now.
It was in the lobby of Motel 1.
Ah, that's the one. Yeah. Yes, a very nice bottle of scotch that you had with you, I remember.
Courtesy of Patty Russo. She's a very generous lady. So, what is it that you've been up to since we last met?
Well, we're still in Rosalie Cunningham's band. So we've been unfortunately not going on tour with her because she recently lost her voice. So a lot of got cancelled, which is pretty bad for her and for everybody. You know, but she's on the mend. She's all good now.
Yeah, thankfully her voice has come back, and so we've got some rescheduled dates with her, which is great.
Yeah, it's all back on again. She's going to be making a live album as well, and
also we've been having our record pressed in the meantime since we last saw you, which is now it's being released next week. Which is exciting.
I'm staring at my very handsome copy right now. It sounds fantastic. You went all analog on this one, unless I'm mistaken.
We did.
Yeah, we recorded at a Gizzard studio in London.
And it was also mastered. It was cut via analog as well, correct?
It was, yeah. It was part of the reason that we went to Gizzard. Well, Gizzard's fantastic anyway. I think it's our favourite studio. Rosalie's also recorded loads of stuff there. It's just the go-to place. Really, it's 16 track, all analog, fantastic place with a really, really cool guy running it.
Yeah.
Who gets brilliant sounds. It's really easy, just an easy environment to work in. He's got fantastic gear there, really good preamps, and so we recorded it all there and then mastered it at Curve Pusher. It used to be in the East End, but now moved down to Hastings. So it's mastered from 1/4-inch tape straight to lacquer.
Fantastic.
And off we go. Yeah, so yeah, fully analog this time.
It's really great because when you actually play the record, you can hear what does it add to your music? It adds a layer of, or a level of, I don't want to use the stereotypical term warmth, but inevitably I'm going to.
Yeah.
There is a kind of cozy blanket around the sound in a good way.
We were watching a video from Abbey Road, which is where we cut our first album. We didn't record it there, obviously. We recorded it at our pub down in the cellar, but we cut it from 1/4-inch tape at Abbey Road. We watched a video on YouTube from Jeff Pesh, the mastering engineer, who said, who cut ours, who said that what it really does is just take a layer of top end off. So what you think is adding warmth is really just cutting a bit of clarity, cutting a little bit of presence, but in a really good way. That seems to sort of uncover something, you know.
Yeah, I like that. By shaving off a little top end, you
Yeah.
give the illusion of things
Yeah.
sounding a little more
Yeah.
humble, maybe.
Well, lovely way of putting it. Yeah, exactly.
Humble. Well, I loved it, and I'm still listening to it.
Nice.
Thank you.
And if anyone else wants to listen to it, it's available via your website.
Yes, yeah. It will be available on Good Friday, released, and you can buy vinyl from our website, tuppennybunters.com. And it will also be on digital platforms, Spotify and Apple Music. So you can have a listen and see what you think. Yeah.
I will link to your website below. I'll link to the store and places where they can buy the record from, and anyone can buy tickets to see you on tour, because obviously you're touring soon as well.
We are, yes. In May, we're going on a month-long tour up and down the country to various towns. Yeah, which is exciting. So you can see the list of places that we'll be going to. Playing tunes from the new album, stuff from the old album, bit of a mixture of stuff.
Excellent. And you are also at the Fringe, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we're not playing music, we're also doing it, dabbling in theatre. So during the lockdown, the second lockdown, Dave and I spent the time writing a 4-part play with 4 various stories, which we performed at the Hen and Chicken in London last summer, and that went really well. We really enjoyed it, so we thought we'd have a crack at the Fringe Festival, and yeah, after a few weeks of having a go, we're officially on the bill now, which is very exciting.
Oh, fantastic. And a very good use of lockdown time, I think, writing a play.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to come along and see you at the Fringe, roughly what are the dates, and can you tell us a little bit about what the play is about?
Yeah, totally. Well, it's pretty much for the whole of August, between the 5th, I think the 5th and the 12th.
And then the 15th.
Then we're away for a couple of days, and then we're playing with Rosie actually at the Crop Ready Festival. So we've got a weekend break to come and do that festival with them.
That's right, yeah.
And then we're back for the rest of August.
Fantastic.
And it's at Leith Depot, which is a little pub in Leith, which is, as you would know, about 10-minute drive from the centre. So it's a little bit off the beaten track, but it's still stuff going on in Leith. But because it's a little bit out of the way, we managed to get the whole month there as newcomers, which we were really surprised about because we've never done this before. So we just sent them a copy of the thing, of the script, of a synopsis, and they said yes. So it's upstairs in a pub, 2:00 in the afternoon.
Every day.
And
just,
it's called 15-minute break. 4 little plays, like elongated sketches really, set in the back rooms of various settings. So it's kind of like what goes on behind the scenes in 4 different settings. I won't tell you what they are, but it's 4 very different ones.
4 and completely different characters.
Yeah.
They were very fun to play, actually, and playing different roles, different sexes. It's quite fun.
Costume changes in it. It's all very lo-fi. We're doing our own tech, so it's like there's a few backing tracks that come flying in and a few effects and stuff. But yeah, so it's all right. Very, very lo-fi and on the hoof.
Great stuff. It sounds like a good time indeed.
Yeah.
And you have your own mini residency there, so fantastic.
Yeah, we're very lucky. Yeah,
we are really lucky. Yeah, a good friend of ours put us in the right direction, Colin Duff. So we're very lucky to have had that leg up.
Yeah.
Well, I for one am going to have to make sure that I come down and see you on the Fringe for sure.
Brilliant. Well done. Nice
Good
one.
stuff.
And again, anyone else can catch you at the Fringe. We will link to all relevant details below, just in case you want to book tickets.
Yeah,
All right.
great.
So let's talk about the Tuppenny Hangover, your new album.
All right.
Where did it come from? What was the inspiration? Tell us about the songs. Tell us about how it started life.
It was another lockdown thing, really.
That's right. Yeah.
You know.
I think that was
There's gonna be
lockdown too as well.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of lockdown albums come out, aren't there? It's just only natural. So yeah, it's like, well, what else do you do when you're kind of stuck indoors? We might as well just write some songs and just do something creative. And
exactly, you put creative people in a box for X months. What's going to happen?
Yeah, it's not quite inside, but I've been watching that lately. I could really struck a chord. That guy was Bo Burnham. That's just like incredible. That
yeah, superb. If anyone hasn't seen it already, absolutely do.
Have you seen it?
I have not.
Oh, it's well worth a watch. This guy just does this special that he spent a year in the lockdown times putting together, and it's just bizarre and it really unique.
Musical comedy, but really cleverly done with sort of the limitations of what he's got around him. He really makes good use of the equipment that he's got, whether it's phones and audio.
It's proper DIY, but yeah, and it's ridiculously ambitious, which I love about it. Like, there's nothing better than watching somebody strive to get ridiculously professional results with mobile and keyboard. It's inspiring stuff. It's really good
and very funny. So yeah, do ever watch if you get 5 minutes.
But you'll have to link me to that after the show, I think.
Yeah, all right. But yeah, our one, we just thought, well, okay, let's get these songs banged out. And so we.
I like the way
we have a bit of a writing thing because where we live, we have a couple of rooms, piano in a room downstairs, and we've got Fender Rhodes upstairs and stuff as well. So we kind of split rooms and just chalk upstairs, or I'll stay down here, or vice versa, and we'll
because we both can't write together in the same room. So when you live with someone, that's quite difficult. So it's sort of how do you do this then? So I went upstairs and I had a keyboard in my bedroom. You had the piano downstairs, and we just spend the afternoon working on our own songs, and then we'd come downstairs a few hours later, show each other, see what we thought, and it was a really nice way of writing songs.
We tend to write to order more than we're the opposite of that kind of like songs just kind of fall out the sky. For me, they never do. But I have to make myself sit at a piano and actually go, right, come on, I'm not leaving until I actually come up with something, even if it's terrible. So you
have to kind of craft it out.
Just works for us. And that's not everybody's way of doing things, but that's quite like that, really. We secretly would have liked to be part of the Brill set, you know what I mean, round an upright piano with a coffee on
and sleeves rolled back,
smoking loads of latest Shangri-La's hit.
Sometimes the romantic idea of how we operate in creative mediums isn't quite a match to the reality, is it?
I'm sure it was nothing like that, but I just love the idea of having to write we come on, we need this tune.
That's a deadline.
Yeah, that's obviously.
I think we both work better with deadlines.
Yeah, which obviously aren't there, so you have to put them in, don't you? And then just stick to them.
Well, back with the play, actually, I think we booked up the Hen and Chicken before we'd even finished writing the play.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, right, we've got to do it now because it's in the book, which is but it's good for us. That's how we work. If there's a deadline, you've got to do it.
That's a good motivator.
Yeah.
It came really from we performed at the pub we were running. We performed Alan Bennett's Talking Heads. We did an evening of that, so we both took a one of those each and did that, and got the buzz really for just learning scripts and doing them in front of an audience. It was like it's completely different buzz to being in a band and hiding behind an instrument, especially doing monologues. It's like you're completely
that was terrifying. It was the first time we'd performed solo. Like normally, at least I'm on stage with Dave, but I was not only without an instrument, but I was by myself, completely just talking at an audience for half an hour. That was pretty terrifying, but in a great way. You do grow.
Well, you deserve medals. It's my worst nightmare, I think. I'm all too aware of having to do it. There was this whole thing in Edinburgh with the New Writers Award, which was 2019, I think. And I was fortunate enough to be recipient that year. And the idea was they just, you're plucked out of your normal life, sitting at home, writing in your underpants, doing what you usually do, and plonked on this stage with a spotlight on you. And they're like, okay, here you go. Here's 500 industry insiders, literary agents, publishers, and other authors. Off you go.
Cool.
Just read your stuff.
Wow. Yeah, that's
So that's not scary at all.
God, blimey. Yeah, no, that was.
Oh, well done for doing that.
It's okay. There's a bar, so everything's fine in the end. I think. Anyway, we were talking about you and your stuff.
The record.
Records.
What do we do then?
So we finished writing it in the lockdown, and then
booked up Gizzard.
Yeah, pretty.
And went and did it. We recorded it over about 5 days, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Really, 5 days?
Yeah.
Oh, that's one hell of a. You listen to it, and it's so involved.
It's there's quite a bit going on. That's Ed Deegan, who runs Gizzard. I've never worked with a more or friendly and just accommodating engineer. He's got every combination of, you know, electric piano and speaker and amp that you are going to need. He's got a great Hammond and a Leslie and a Wurlitzer and a Farfisa and a Vox AC30 and a Fender Twin and just everything that you're going to want. So it's like, can we do the Vox through the Leslie but mic it under? Yeah, no problem. And go and stuff. In fact, we use the Wurlitzer but put it through. Can that go through the Leslie but maybe also go through the amp? And we'll put, yeah, no worries. Anything you can think of, we'll just go spend 5 minutes setting it up. And it's a really good way of working. We just went in there with a kind of, again, like we sort of work better to deadlines and sort of what they called, we do for films, storyboards.
Still, yeah.
We kind of had a bit of a schedule so we made sure we did, you particularly, Fee, had written lots of little bits and pieces to add on to the tunes, but without going ridiculously with overdubs, because we're a two-piece band. We wanted to enjoy ourselves a little bit, but we didn't want it turning into, you know, Bohemian Rhapsody, so we kind of picked and chose a little bit where we were going to overdub, embellish things. But you wrote the whole thing down in a sort of storyboard, so we had a schedule.
Well, because time is of the essence. So if you sort of go in, and a bit like, I suppose, film directors, you kind of have to stick to a schedule. So you just kind of bang that down. Right, we've done that. Now you move on to that, and just. And Ed's great. He'll just let you sort of run it, and he'll let you sort of steer the session, which is great.
And the answer's nearly always yes to anything that you ask, which is I'm not sort of diss engineers here, but it's not always the case. Sometimes you go like, can we do that? And be like, oh, I don't know, that's a bit, I don't think you should, you know, you get all that. Ed's not like that at all. Ed's just like, yeah, go on in, why not?
It sounds like heaven in a way, playing with all that gear.
It does make it really fun, yeah.
The guitarist in me, the amateur guitarist in me, leaps out and just wants to be surrounded by old Echoplexes and Echo Rex and old Fenders and Marshalls and all of that good stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't beat.
So you mentioned obviously that you're a two-piece, I know that, but for anyone who isn't familiar with your work, how would you describe what you do, and what's the best way in for the uninitiated?
Go on.
I always find this question very tough, because I think people perceive us in different ways. Everyone, sees us differently, but how we perceive ourselves, I guess, is a mishmash. We're sort of it's kind of punk, but we're also a bit baroque. We're sort of musical, we're sort of, as well.
Yeah, a bit of everything.
We like love vintage gear, and and pop too. But sort of
early 70s. Yeah, it's a piano band, really. That's the main thing. It's that we just want to make sure that always at the piano is like front and center, and it's just piano and drums. So it's kind of the closest thing would be like the White Stripes approach, I suppose, but with piano instead of guitar, even though our music's nothing like theirs, obviously. But we always just want the piano to be just massively full, and the left hand of it to be the bottom end where a bass guitar would normally sit, which is a lot harder than it sounds. You'd think that would be easy with all the frequencies being there, but to actually pull it out. Our first album, we recorded it live onto tape in the pub basement, and we had a pickup in the piano. It was a Bluesner upright. We had a pickup in the piano and a mic, and we sent it for an amp. So we had 3 tracks of piano, all for the bottom end, and loads and loads of bottom end. And when we took the tape to Abbey Road to master it, he said, "There's literally no bottom end on this. Do you want me to put some on for you?" So even having done ridiculous amounts of work to try and get the bottom end to come through, it still needed mastering with extra bass putting on. So that's all. But that's the fun of it. Like, and live, it's even worse. So to get the we use a Fender Rhodes live, but to get it to sound full enough, it has to go through a desk, be scooped, loads of bottom end, and then go through a massive amp and DI'd at the same time, to really get it. And it's a lot harder than you'd think.
It's a lot harder than just turning up and doing your stuff.
Yeah, it can be. Otherwise, it just sounds thin and nothingy. I think that's just pianos sound fine when they're on their own, but when you put rock drums with them, they just disappear. You need you just need massive amplification. We did try touring with we rather stupidly purchased a Helping Steel Roadmaster piano, which is something made in the 70s. We got it from America to be shipped over. It was, wasn't my the best ideas for things to buy.
Up there with a pub.
Yeah, it's an 88 note, real upright strung piano with a pickup in it. It weighs probably more than an upright piano does. In a flight case, we had to winch it in and out of the van. We went
Just the two of us.
Yeah, just the two of us.
Yeah, that was fun.
But we did it. We took
We
it on
did do
tour.
it. Yeah, and then we stuck it through. What amp did we stick it through?
Can't remember now.
But we blasted it out, which it sounded. Yeah, we loved it. It was just a full-on loud piano.
But you'd normally
Through
have to be like in Supertramp to own one of them and take it on the road. Do you know what I mean? Not
Right, sure.
where we were. We played in a place in Halifax. We played in this back room that was the size of a front room, and yeah, the piano took up at least a third of the room. So, yeah, good fun.
That was good fun.
But now,
But yeah, we've scaled it down to now Fender Rhodes. But we're going to take a few keyboards with us actually on our tour in May. We're going to take the Hammond, the Roland electric piano, and the Fender Rhodes. So we've got a few keyboards to jump around on the stage with.
Fantastic. I think a great way in for anyone who perhaps hasn't stumbled upon your music yet, but may just be contemplating dipping their toe in the water, is to see you live, because obviously I was introduced to you via Rosie Cunningham, as you were playing in her band and also supporting on her last tour. And obviously I had no expectations because I had no idea. I didn't know you at the time, and obviously going in and seeing you perform blew me away. I was so.
Oh, that's very sweet.
I mean, to start with, what you do is not a genre that I've ever really been exposed to, and that's putting what you do in a box, and I don't like doing that. It's hard to describe your music as a genre. As you said earlier, it's an eclectic, wonderful mix.
Yeah, we find that's a common response actually, that people, some people say we like it, but we don't get it. We can't. Yeah, you're right. You can't put it in a particular box or category, which it feels completely natural to us, but I couldn't tell you what that category is. It's just a mixture of, I don't know.
I think really we've got quite bad taste. I think it's that really. Where we both like music. We're massive fans, not of like the proper chick, but Oliver and like all the Lionel Bart stuff, and just
we're massive Lionel Bart fans.
Anthony Newley, you know what I mean? That real proper old school musical.
If I told you what I listen to, you'd be horrified. So we won't go there. It's funny though, because I have a piece of paper in front of me, and on the piece of paper it says psychedelic punk ? And then it says in bigger letters, without guitars ? And then it says, hang on, punk is somehow not the right collective term. And then underneath that it says collective term in bigger letters with more question marks. I think we can dispense with collective terms. They're rubbish anyway, aren't they?
Well, that's bands these days anyway, isn't it? Like everything's so mashed up. It's something that's quite refreshing about the today's music scene, is that it's now all fine to like, 10cc or Supertramp mentioned earlier. You can like her, you've got Todd Rundgren, you've got all the stuff that like, post-punk, you weren't supposed to go like anywhere near it. It's now like, it's fine, just like it. It's you can sound like ABBA if you want, and it's Elvis.
It's amazing, isn't it? The times that we are living in, all of a sudden, all of the genres that were considered maybe passé or even taboo have suddenly had, I wouldn't say a renaissance, I would just say a mass acceptance, I think.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
Yeah. Which is how you end up with bands like the Lemon Twigs. Rosalie put us onto the Lemon Twigs. It's like, and it was like instantly, oh my God, what a fantastic band. But they're a bit of a watershed. I've got some mates who just won't listen to them. It's like, no, I'm not having that. It's too sort of vaudevillian, or just there's some corny something
musical
going on with it that they just don't want it in their lives. But they're poor band.
It's interesting, isn't it, how music can also be, as well as something that brings people together, and I know that's kind of something of a cliche, but also happens to be true. It's also interesting how it can be divisive in a way as well, because I think music, and there's a certain loyalty amongst music fans. And it tends to be, especially with in relation to my own experience growing up, you would discover groups of people who all like the same rough genre,
Yeah.
but nothing out of it. Do not deviate from the genre. You
Yeah.
are forever beholden to the genre, and if you are the band, by
Yeah.
God, you must never step outside of the creative box.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's just
Amazing.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely like that for me. I was at school in the early '80s, and that's absolutely what it was. And I'm the worst offender for that. I was a punk for about 10 minutes. It's allegiance to the mod side of things, and did that for a few years, and then it was the '80s anyway, and it's like I don't know what I am now. Just became sort of, and now there's a mixture of all of it going on. But yeah, back as a kid, it was like you just picked your team, and that was that.
Yeah. I
Bought some Doc Martens, shaved your head, and told everyone you always were a punk anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I thought in a way it was quite good fun. That was, you know what I mean? It's not really very good. People got beaten up for like the wrong music. Obviously, it wasn't really very good, but yeah, I don't know. Sort of miss it in a way. People nailing their colour to the mast. It's quite good laugh.
Same. I mean, we complain about it, but there's something to be said for eras. We don't seem to have eras anymore now that everything's accepted. And I think we've just hit upon a good point. Now that all music generally is accepted and not stigmatized anymore, we're kind of bereft of eras. I'm looking forward to the next new romantic era. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but
yeah, no,
I'm probably the only guy in line, but still.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. I kind of almost yearn to see some really scathing reviews of things. You never see them anymore either, do you?
Everyone's too afraid, I think.
Well, everybody's so nice about everything, aren't they? Like, including anyone who's said anything about it. We never get anybody go, yeah, I saw them and I thought they were like total shit. You know, it's always very glowing, or they don't say anything. You know, it's never yeah, really not my bag. You never see sort of, yeah. I suppose
no one ever comes along and says, "Oh, bollocks."
No.
That's good. That's a good thing.
That's what we want.
Yeah, that's got to be the best complaint you could ever have, I think, as an artist. No one's ever come up to me and said my stuff's rubbish. That's a good.
But the most hurtful thing that people can do about your music is just not say anything at all, which is like, I'd much rather somebody just said they hated what we did than just not say anything. It's like, you know, you really want, like, come on, what do you think of this album? Particularly once we put it out, it's like, I have no idea until people tell us whether it's actually any good or not.
Yeah.
I know we tried hard to make it good, but whether it is actually any good, it's completely subjective, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny because Jim Steinman always used to say the same thing. I remember this one conversation we had one night while we were working on the musical, and we were talking about obviously aspects of the songs that were going to be included, weren't going to be included, were we going to chop them out, where were we going to put them, etc., etc. And Jim was talking about the responses that those songs, which everyone knows now, got at the time, and he was always a fan of extreme reactions. So if people were over the moon, joyous, you know, ripping off their shirts in euphoria, he was happy. And also if they were screaming at the top of their lungs that they hated it, they thought it was absolute crap, he was happy with that. He just didn't want them to be on the fence.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting to hear from someone as big a deal as that. Yes, well, it's absolutely, isn't it? It's like, yeah, you just want to know that something has touched people one way or the other, even if it's in a bad way. It didn't quite come out as I meant it, but yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, we'll have no mention of that here. Let's keep it clean, please. You may have heard my cat in the background then. I think he's hungry. The level of professionalism we have here. So where were we? What were we talking about? I don't remember. Let's move on. Influences. And this doesn't just have to be musical influences, general influences. What has influenced you as people in life and as artists? It's a broad question. So.
Okay. Yeah, quite big Galton and Simpson fans. I feel quite influenced by them in lots of ways.
Well, the play particularly is quite influenced by Galton and Simpson.
Yeah.
And I suppose the songwriting, like you say, a little bit as well.
We watch an unhealthy amount of Steptoe Son and
Hancock,
and listen to Hancock's half hour on the computer.
Fantastic!
In a way, that's
Did you just say an unhealthy amount of steptoe and son?
as if there is a healthy amount of steptoe and son to watch.
No, that's good. I just thought I was daydreaming for a moment. That's good. We actually watched both of the Christmas specials this Christmas.
Oh,
Oh,
right, really?
excellent.
Yeah, they're good.
I haven't seen them for years, and we don't have terrestrial TV here, so because there's nothing on it anymore, or at least I don't think there is of any real value. So yeah, we've every Christmas we just kind of journey into the past and pluck out the best of the 60s, 70s, and the 80s,
Right.
and the worst.
Like our house.
The worst is always fun.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh yeah, you those steptoe. Yeah, I mean those. It's one story, isn't it? It's just the same story, endlessly told from the very first one that where Harold's trying to leave and can't leave because he can't physically pull the cart. That sort of sums up the entire everything. He just can't go for one reason or another. And I love that in the original one, he's just physically not strong enough to get out the door.
I love that when you synopsisize it like that, there's something almost reminiscent of Beckett about that.
It's sort of like one of the. Is there meant to be only 12 stories in the world or something? Whatever that is, it feels like
There
one
is.
story. Is
There
what,
are.
yeah, whatever that story is, it's sort of probably one of the things. Like bloke wants to leave this situation, but for the various reasons doesn't get to. But,
Yeah, not quite the hero's journey.
No, more the kind of of the young fulfilled ambition. Yeah, like Beckett. That's close enough.
Yeah, we'll stick with Beckett. That'll do.
But yeah, we like a bit of Gordon and Simpson. What else do we do? We sort of read a bit when we can be bothered to switch YouTube off. We get a book out and have a read, don't we?
Yeah.
I advocate for reading myself. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing. Yeah,
It's a good thing.
read more.
We should do more of that.
Or we incorporate sometimes we few stories into our songs. Like you've written some Orwell stuff into your.
Yeah, I'm a terrible
Your
one for
tune.
reading a book and then I'm so excited with the novelty of having actually picked a book up and read it that I then write a song about the book I've just been reading, like I'm suddenly Mr. Literary. But yeah, so there's a song on there called My Aspidistra, which is just based on
Keep the Aspidistra Flying,
Flying.
which is great book.
It is. I haven't read that one for about 20 years, but
Yeah.
I have about 3 different editions of that on my bookcase.
Really?
Big Orwell fan. Grew up with Orwell.
Oh, really?
Mm.
That's where the Tuppenny Hangover comes from. It's from Down and Out in Paris and London. There's a bit where he's talking about various sleeping arrangements, and one of them is the Tuppenny Hangover, which it was a Victorian thing, I think, but that was written in the 30s, wasn't it?
The 30s. It was the 30s. Absolutely.
Which
With Orwell going through his sleeping rough on the streets phase.
Yeah.
But shocking to think that was still going in the 30s, because it's just, yeah, you would know then, it's like just a rope strung across a room where people kind of dangle on it for the night. I think
How much was it
it was tuppence.
Right.
Tuppenny Hangover.
And then in the morning.
In the morning, someone would just come and snip the rope, so everyone would just fall straight on the concrete floor, and that person was called a valet.
Which is also another song from the album. Dave's written a tune.
Yeah, that's
from the eyes of
the point of view of this bloke that's got this. The one job he's got is to just stand there all night or sit at the table and in the morning just snip the rope and just get rid of all the homeless people. And he's dubbed a valet, which I thought was pretty funny.
So that's something that I immediately was drawn to with your music, and I know you said it kind of in jest earlier, but in all seriousness, there is almost, to my ear at least, and what do I know, a literary edge to what you do in the band.
Oh.
And I've really enjoyed that. And part of me feels enormously guilty because, for anyone who doesn't know, we're moving house right now, and everything's upside down. And I wish I'd had more time to soak up more elements of the Tuppenny Hangover than the 1 or 2 plays I've been able to give it. Because these are songs I think you really need to sit back and sit down and listen to, and you need to. I'm going to oversell it massively now, and you're going to hate me for this.
Oh.
There are almost kind of Joyce-like references in there in a way. There are some parts that people are going to have to go, oh, hang on a minute, I need to go and look that up in a good way.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, cheers. Yeah, I think it's good and bad. Sometimes I just have to stop myself and go like, look, just put what you mean. Well, you said earlier we were talking about splitting up for songwriting sessions. So Fee's upstairs writing what became that song "Clock Out" on the album, and I was writing a song called "Wilf," and at the end of it, I wrote a status saying like I prefer her song to hers is really kind of like upbeat and punky and stuff, but mine's got the phrase tantamount to mithering, so at least Stephen Fry will be happy. Sometimes you can go too wordy and too literary with things, and at the end it's like you just come out sounding like Will Self, you know. So you have to kind of reel it in a little bit sometimes and just talk sense, don't you? But thank you for the, you know.
Oh, you're utterly welcome. I think you should do more of it.
Oh.
So there. No, I really enjoyed it. I'm still enjoying it, and when we get the set up in the new place, I'm going to enjoy it all over again.
Oh, wicked.
Oh, good.
Fantastic.
It's such an interesting thing for me because obviously, kind of, my partner comes from who you met briefly last time, comes from the world of really, really heavy music, and you know, kind of we cross over in the middle with some of the stuff we listen to, and then I go off into kind of the 60s and the 70s.
Yeah.
And obviously the 80s, the era I was born. And if you've heard me talking on this channel before, you'll know I have a massive reverence for the 80s, even though everyone else hates it. Coming to your music was so interesting for me. I always love to find new things that are exciting and reel me in and are performed so well and are such a joy to watch and listen to. And I'm using that word again, genre, but it is a genre that I've never ever really explored before. But maybe that's because no one really does what you do in the way that you do it, and that's another great thing.
I feel sometimes, cheers. I feel sometimes we will go somewhere that, it's just a taste thing. I think, honestly,
I think we're very fortunate. We're sort of 20 years different age-wise, but we're so similar in taste that I think we've just found each other and found a mutual love for the same type of music. So together I think we've created something that feels very natural for us, even though it sounds a bit unusual to other people, but it feels really right. And very lucky to be able to share that with your husband.
Exactly. Well, you do it incredibly well, and my advice for anyone who has maybe seen a couple of videos online is to go and see you guys live, because watching live is something entirely different when you're in the same room and somehow, Fee, those vocals come out of your mouth, and I don't quite know how they got there. I mean, you look at you and you think, oh, you must have quite a, as you speak, you must have quite a gentle singing voice, and then that comes out and you're like, oh wow.
A bit more, a bit more
amazing.
Polystyrene, really. I like the shocking people in that way.
Fingernails on a blackboard, is how I
Well, it is. It's quite.
no, in a good way.
It is a bit. Well, I think you've described it as sort of Julie Andrews mixed with I don't know, Betty Boop, or kind of, I don't know.
There's a few people going on in there, aren't there? But
on speed, and I don't know. Yeah, it's quite an unusual voice, which I've tried to make it sort of soulful and deep, but it's just not going there.
It works at its best when it's just flat out, doesn't it?
Just screeching is it feels right. It's blaring it out, belting it, and just
To my ear, and this is only a marginal thing, but there is even, you're probably going to hate this, but there's even the edge of the more frenetic side of Kate Bush.
Yes.
In there somewhere.
Massive compliment. Thank you. I'm a big Kate Bush fan, so that's a massive compliment.
There's a certain track from Lionheart I'm thinking of when she hits the chorus, and I'm blanking on the actual song at the minute, but whenever I'm listening to that album, more recently, it does remind me of you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that's very cool. Well, it's definitely unusual. I think just like Kate Bush's voice is unusual. So it's that's a very big compliment. Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. There's a segue here somewhere. He says, addressing his notes, which are scribbled on little pieces of paper from Prestonfield House Hotel in Edinburgh. Kate Bush, known for only liking one Beatles album.
Oh.
Amongst fans, this is the album perhaps liked the least, Magical Mystery Tour. And I found this out because Magical Mystery Tour was my gateway into the Beatles, and it's actually my favourite Beatles album too.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So saying that, what are your favourite Beatles albums and why?
Oh,
That's a good question.
Changes with the weather vane, doesn't it?
Revolver. It's just Revolver. The one, you know what I mean. I'm not gonna try and be obscure here and say, oh, it's actually Beatles for Sale. You know, they're all good, aren't they? They're all. It's like your favourite season. But yeah, Revolver. You can put it on any time, and it will just make you feel good. It's brilliant. In fact,
And White Album's also.
White Album's good.
Up
Yeah,
there.
White Album's fantastic. Yeah, good. They're all good. When we made our one, we had Revolver in our heads of like, just I love that on Revolver every song is like a little kind of vignette of its own. It's like they've approached it as like, right, this is this one, so that's got strings and whatever that's got, and this one's got this, and it's this approach, and the drum sounds different every time, and the effects are different, and it's a different Beatles singing it, and they're all kind of, they all go together, but it's like a suite. Do you know what I mean? It's not like it doesn't sound like a session at all. It doesn't sound like it was recorded, you know, anything like in one go or like over a period of weeks with the same gear. It's
like a collection of short stories in a way.
Exactly that. Yeah, not an anthology. I absolutely love that about it, and that's not, to get anywhere near that in the approach of making anything is, you know, we're all over that.
An anthology, I think that's a perfect term to sum up Revolver. Yeah, I'm with you on Revolver. Also one of my favourites.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I kind of tend to stick to the psychedelic era. So for me, Magical Mystery Tour, Sgt. Pepper and Revolver, I think Revolver was just kind of creeping in to the psychedelic era.
Revolver sounds almost like a blueprint for Sgt. Pepper, doesn't it? Because
it does. It really does.
Turned up the gas on that one, didn't they? I read a great book that said that, you know, it was all about Revolver, and at the end of it said like all the reasons why Sgt. Pepper isn't as great as you think. It's like, well, yeah, right. There's going to be a backlash for all the years of fawning over like it's the best album ever to now like, well, is it that great really? You know, but it's still
that always happens. I think that exists to sell music magazines.
Yeah.
Everyone loved the 80s until they didn't.
Yeah, I didn't, but yeah, I know.
Yeah, well, almost everyone loved the 80s, apart from Dave.
What about you? You're a bit of a White Album.
Yeah, I do.
fan, aren't you?
Yeah, like there's sort of most of the tunes on there I really like. We do a Beatles convention in Southend every year as a way of sort of celebrating the band. We've done it for I think 14 years or 13 years, and we've.
Oh wow, not long then.
Yeah, well, the whole time since we had the pub, and we just invite musicians from the town to play Beatles songs all day, and it's really lovely. You kind of spend weeks preparing for it, and then on the actual day showcase your favourite Beatles songs.
But with the extra like hard rule that once a song is bagged, that's it. So you don't spend all day listening to Hey Jude done 20 different ones. And like if someone's doing it, that's it.
They've got that song for the day. So and some people form bands to play for the event, and yeah, you basically choose 3 or 4 Beatles songs, spend a few weeks learning it, and then on the day we all come together and showcase it. And we love it because we our whole family play instruments, so we tend to play as a family as well. And yeah, it's very good fun. We'll be doing it again this year actually. It's the Sunday before Christmas every year. So
fantastic.
if anyone is in near the Southend area and fancies jumping on board, we'll be doing it again this year.
Absolutely, pop along. When is that? A week before Christmas?
But it's always the Sunday before Christmas.
Fantastic.
We promote quite a bit of stuff in the town because we ran a pub for
14,
12, 13
or
years.
12, 13.
Rather infamous pub, if legend serves correct.
Yeah, I suppose it's had its moments. Yeah, yeah. That was
Go on then. I'm going to ask you, how did you two meet? And give us a little history about the coming together, and then about the pub, and then about the Bunters.
Okay. Well, I remember the day that I met Dave. It was actually my twin sister that introduced us. I was at a gig with my sister, and she said, "Oh," she pointed this guy out, and she said, "You know, he plays the piano." So I got really excited because I hadn't met many pianists. I was quite young at the time, so I just went up to him, tapped him on the shoulder, and in my drunken way, sort of said like, "Oh, I hear you play the piano. I play as well." And yeah, sort of.
Yeah, it's never that easy, is it? Yeah.
So that was very sweet. And then a few weeks later, you were actually looking for a Hammond player in the band that you were in, the Virgo Intacta. So you found my number and gave me a call and said, "Oh, do you want to have a jam?" So I said, "Yeah, that'd be great." So I went round the house that I'm now living in, but you were living by yourself at the time. I had a jam with the rest of the band members. That was great. And then you said, "Yeah, do you want to join the band?" And I said, "Oh, I'd love to." And that was very exciting. It was my first band. And I think my second gig playing music ever was supporting the White Stripes. That was really exciting.
Wow, that's one hell of a leap.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah, it came out the blue that day. We suddenly got a call from Russell Warby, from the agency group. It was the White Stripes agent at the time, and just said like, "Jack White has had I had an album out in the early 2000s that bombed completely, but Jack White had a copy of it, and 3 or 4 years later had still been listening to it, and offered us 4 gigs supporting on the tour, the Get Behind Me Satan tour, which is incredible. So that was your second gig, wasn't it?
That was my second gig. Yeah, that was brilliant.
We did that.
So then the band played for a few years, and then
2007, this pub came up for sale in Southend, so we decided to just take that on for some mad reason. But and 12 years later, it closed because it cost us a fortune. We hadn't really thought it through, if I'm honest about it. It seemed like a good idea at the time. It was a good laugh, and it was some great stuff happened there, but financially it was an absolute catastrophe, and it was a tired pub, everybody a load of money, and it was just like, yeah.
But I think,
and then COVID happened, so that was death knell for him. That was that.
But we had a good time. Lots of bands were formed. We met lots of people. I don't know. I think there's been lots of stories that have come from it, and I think for the town it was a bit of a hub, a community place. Lots of people coming together. So I think
that's what counts, isn't it? Having a good time and making the most of what you have, rather than the ever cyclical financial chasing world that we live in.
Of course,
nothing's forever, is it?
In 20 years,
exactly
like that. So right now I'm still licking my wounds a little bit because we've just put it to bed. It's like it still feels like what the hell was that all about, you know? And it was because it was a bit of a disaster. But there was some great stuff that happened there, and we'd like to see it open back up again with a new owner and just carry on, hopefully in the same vein. And then I won't feel like we did it for nothing, because at the moment it's just all boarded up, and it feels like, what was the point, But
it will open up again.
Yeah, that's the way things go, isn't it? But yeah, for the time it was good. It brought some good.
And it's it's where Tuppenny Bunters was born as well, because we just kind of.
Well, we got married there.
We did,
all, didn't we?
We did, and that was lovely. Yeah, we played a gig on the roof of the pub. That was cool. And yeah.
And we had a studio.
Oh, fantastic! So many memories invested in that place.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a studio down in the basement where we recorded a couple of things that went to vinyl. Our album,
our first album,
a band called Mo Fingers, a Hammond organ band. We recorded those down there. That went on vinyl. So everything live onto Studio B62s. It was quite good fun.
Is your first album still available on vinyl?
Yeah, yes. You can get it from our website as well.
Excellent. Exactly what I wanted to know. I mean, I have a copy that I picked up the last time I saw you. But if anyone else is listening and they want to explore the album that precedes the Tuppenny Hangover, they can head to your website, links below, and buy it.
That's the Tuppenny Upright.
Exactly.
A Tuppenny Upright. So yeah, it's quite different to the second one, because it's all live, straight to tape, just piano and drums. That's it, and vocals, no overdubs. It's very raw sounding.
Mm.
Yeah, I noticed the difference straight away. There's a lovely polish to the new album. Not too polished, obviously, but just a lovely, lovely warm aesthetic that that you know, it's like a good scotch on a cold night. It takes the edge off.
That'll do. I'm going to nick that. That's a great review.
You have my blessing.
Yeah, well, that's just Gizzard. Yeah, I can't go on about it enough. Honestly, it's a fantastic studio, really underrated place.
Yeah, I've done a virtual tour of that place. It looks fantastic. I just love. I don't know what half of them are, but I just love seeing analog studio setups with reel-to-reel Tascams and etc. and Neve consoles and big old Echoplex units propping open the door.
Yeah,
when they're not being used. But I come from the world of the amateur guitarist, so I do tend to just drift away into realms of vintage gear that I would love to own, but could never really justify owning because I wouldn't really have any idea of what to do with them.
Justify it by just that's your pension. That's enough. Just, you know, own and enjoy. I say.
See, now that's the thing when I think about playing. I mean, the reason, in all seriousness, the reason I never pursued music as anything other than a hobby is because I'm so utterly rubbish at it. I struggle with timing, and it's so funny because obviously when I watch you guys play, you are so rhythmically tight. And for anyone who's listening who hasn't seen you play yet, either on video or live, you have Dave at the piano singing and Fee on drums, and then for the next song you'll switch over.
We're both pianists, so you're sort of automatically a drummer if you're a pianist. I think that if you play in that kind of percussive way that we both do, then it's an easy step to just sort of pick up, you know, some drumsticks and do that. So it's, you know, we're neither of us like professional drummers, but we can both back the other person. So it's just, as long as that piano is just stomping out, as long as that's happening, then the drums is kind of just like motoring it along, and that's it, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't fathom, and never have been able to fathom, the idea of playing a melody in time with one hand and then a harmony with another, or chords with one hand and a melody with another. For me, it's mind-blowing. I just can't. I can't even go there.
And I mean, that's the Hammond organ proper technique, isn't it? The Jimmy Smith thing of like little chords in the left hand, melody in the right hand, and then probably bass pedals with your foot or a bass player. We don't do that. We do the easy version of left hand octaves, right hand chords, sing the tune. You know.
I think having just that innate sense of rhythm obviously really helps in that kind of a situation. And when I say in that kind of a situation, what I really mean is being a musician. It's something I don't have. I'm always incredibly envious of anyone who does, but it's always such a joy to see and hear at the same time.
Oh, well, cheers.
Thank you.
I'm sure you're better than you think you are.
Yeah. That's what I say. Yeah. I think all writers are really just frustrated musicians. I think we all just started out thinking, you know what, I'm gonna play guitar, and everyone's gonna listen, and then you realise sometime later you're really not going to play guitar to anyone other than the shower head, or electric guitar in the shower. How does that work? I don't know. Don't ask. That's probably why we all look like we do, frazzled and dishevelled with dark glasses on, so no one can see the circles under our eyes. Anyway, I think we're almost about at the end. I think we've talked about all the bits that, is there anything else you want to say? Anywhere else you want to go?
Come to Rosalie Cunningham's gigs when we go back on tour with her, and because her stuff is fantastic, and we're like big champions of that. And you get to see us as well this year because we'll be supporting.
Yeah,
so
and for anyone that's coming to Edinburgh in August, say hello. Or if anyone's around in May, we'll be hopefully coming to a town near you. Check out the listings. And just see you on the road. We've got another tour in November as well. So if we don't get to see you in May, hopefully we'll see you in November.
Fantastic. Time to wrap everything up. As always, thanks for joining us. Dave, Fee, it's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Nick.
Thanks a lot. Nice one.
You're welcome, and you're welcome back anytime.
Cheers.
In the meantime, everybody, buy the records, see them play, and see the play at the Fringe in Edinburgh this year. Catch them on tour, all that good stuff. Links will be below, and all that's left to say is goodbye, everybody. Until the next time.
See ya.
Bye. Ta-da.